Good morning, students. You might have gone through my previous videos in which I have given explanation for many technical terms to describe an angiospermic plant, and the terminologies are very essential to study the families of flowering plants, and by keeping it in mind all those technical terms which you have studied, now I am going to on that basic ground knowledge with respect to the description of an angiospermic plant. Now I am going to start with the fourth unit of your fifth semester, that is study of families. Study of families or flowering plants, and there are about 23 to 24 families which you are going to study, and the study of these flowering plants is it is dependent upon the terminologies which you have studied so far. Okay, based on that ground knowledge, today I am going to start with the first family which is there in your syllabus, that is family Annonaceae. Family Annonaceae. Annonaceae. This is actually custard apple family. Custard apple, sitafal, ramfal. All of you have tasted the fruits, very delicious fruits. And those fruits belong to this family. So it is generally we can call it as custard apple family. And I am going to begin with this family. So Annonaceae, before studying the family, you must write the classification for the family. Okay? The classification for the Annonaceae. So it belongs to class Dicotyledonnae. Class Dicotyledonnae. Subclass Polypetalae. Series Thalamiflorae. Order Granules, and family Annonaceae. Okay, this is the order of classification. You are going to study all these different types of classification of classifications which are there in the taxonomy part in the separate unit. So I am not going to deal with the classification in detail now. I will directly start with the family and its characters and examples. And this is the actual classification for family Annonaceae. With respect to the characters, why the reasons for this classification of Annonaceae? The Annonaceae belongs to class Dicotyledonnae. Class Dicotyledonnae. Dicotyledons means the seeds of such plants are characterized by the presence of two cotyledons. Okay. And all these pulses belong to the dicotyledons because you have seen shega, you have seen groundnut, the Bengal gram, green gram, black gram. All those are example for the dicots where we find two cotyledons in the seed. And we have already discussed in the previous class that you can directly make out, if you are provided with a twig, you will be able to make out whether the plant belongs to a monocot or a dicot. Based on the leaf character itself, you are going to identify whether the plant is a grass. If you are provided with a grass, you can directly identify it as monocot plant, and if you are provided with any dicot plant, you can easily identify it as a dicotyledonous plant by going through the characters of the leaf and also the root. So the dicotyledons are characterized by the presence of two cotyledons in their seeds. The subclass Polypetalae. Polypetalae, you know the meaning of polypetalous corolla, where the corolla is made up of free petals. Okay, the free petals. Here, seeds with two cotyledons. Dicotyledonnae, the reason is the seeds of those plants which fall under the category of class Dicotyledonnae are characterized by the presence of two cotyledons. It belongs to subclass Polypetalae. All plants which fall under this subclass Polypetalae are characterized by polypetalous corolla, or the petal nature. Polypetalous corolla is represented by all the petals which will be free in nature. Then the series is called as thalamiflorae. Thalamiflorae, thalamus, you have studied the thalamus in detail. Thalamus is the axis of the flower, and if the family members or the plant or the flower is characterized by the presence of distinct thalamus, the thalamus is very distinct thalamus, and it can be seen in the flower. And we have already discussed the thalamus cannot be seen in all flowers. In some flowers we can make out there is a thalamus in the flower. So if the thalamus is very distinct, elongated axis like in nature, and those members belong to this series, and the series is called as thalamiflorae. Order is called as Ranales. This is a primitive order, and Annonaceae is one of the largest family of the families which fall under the order Ranales. And the Ranales is characterized by the property, the important feature of the order Ranales is the indefinite number of stamens and carpels. Indefinite number of stamens and carpels. Okay, many number of stamens and carpels. Along with this, the stamens and carpels are spirally arranged on the elongated axis. That is a characteristic feature of all the families which fall under the order Ranales. The family is Annonaceae. Now we are going to switch over to the family characters. Got it? The family belongs to class Dicotyledonate because the seeds are characterized by two cotyledons. Subclass Polypetalous, where the corolla is made up of polypetalous nature or the petals are free. Series Thalamiflorae because the thalamus is very distinct and elongated axis-like, which can be well differentiated in the flower. Then it is called as Thalamiflorae. Order Ranales. Characteristic is the presence of indefinite number of stamens and carpels, and their spiral arrangement on the different portions of the thalamus, elongated thalamus, and the family is called as Annonaceae. So now the characters for the family Annonaceae. So this is custard apple family. Annonaceae is the custard apple family, represented by about 130 genera and 2,300 species. Okay, this is one of the largest family of the families which fall under the order Ranales, whereas it is the member of the family is one of the common member is custard apple, and the custard apple family is represented by about 130 genera and 2,300 species. And out of this much number of existing genera and species, about 25 genera and 200 species are reported from India. Okay, about 25 genera and 200 species are reported from India, and this is just introduction about the family Annonaceae. So now we have to begin with the habit of the plants. This is the first character to be explained. You know how to explain the habit of the plants. And now, because this is a family character, now we are representing or we are describing the entire family character, we must keep in our mind that it includes so many number of genera and so many number of species. About 130 genera and 2,300 species are included under the family Annonaceae. We have to cover all the plants together, and it is a family character, not an individual plant character. You are not explaining one individual plant, you are explaining all the plants together, considering it as one family. So that it is very much necessary that we must generally use the term usually, mostly, commonly. We cannot directly say that this is a tree. The plants are trees directly. No, this is not possible, because there may be some plants which belong to herbaceous character, or there may be some plants which may be climbers in nature. So that usually, mostly, and commonly. Such kind of words are to be used during the description of an angiospermic plant. If you are describing one plant, no question of this usually mostly. You can directly explain that. If you are explaining a hibiscus plant, you can say that the plant is a shrub or it is a moderate sized tree. That is to describe the individual plant. But when you are describing the family character, you must consider all the plants together as one family, and you must be able to describe the characters of the family. Okay. Now, with respect to the habit of the plants which belong to family Annonaceae are, the most of the plants which belong to family Annonaceae are the shrubs, trees, or some of them are a kind of climbers. They are very much woody in nature. So all the three kinds of habits are found in the family or members of the family Annonaceae, so that the tree plants may be shrubs, trees, or it may be small tree, or it may be a climber. And the general characteristic of the habit observed is, in the members is, the plant parts are slightly fragrant in nature because of the presence of oil glands, oil ducts, the stem, the leaf, the flowers of the family members. If you crush the floral parts, if you crush the leaf, you will get a different kind of smell in the plant parts. That is due to the presence of oil glands in the plant parts. Okay, that is about the habit of the plants. Then with respect to the leaves of the plants of Annonaceae family are simple leaves. They are petiolate, exstipulate, alternate phyllotaxis found among the members, along with which there is a pointed or acute apex. The leaf apex is acute in nature, with unicostate reticulate venation, herbaceous, coriaceous, or glabrous in nature. And these are the characteristic features for the leaves. And this is how to describe the leaf character in the family. So the leaves are simple, they are alternate, petiolate, exstipulate, with entire margin, acute apex, glabrous, herbaceous, or coriaceous in texture. And the leaves are characterized by unicostate reticulate venation. This is how to explain the leaf character. This is first family. Slightly you may feel that it is very difficult to remember the terminologies. If you are most acquainted with the terminologies which you have learned earlier, this becomes very easy to remember the characters for the families. Okay, this is about the leaf characters of the members which belong to family Annonaceae. Now, the next part of study. So we have completed the habit, the leaves, root. As we know, the plant belongs to Dicotyledonnae, class Dicotyledonnae, and it is compulsory that all dicotyledonous plants have taproot system. Well branched strong taproot system is the characteristic feature of all members of the family Annonaceae, because it is under the class Dicotyledonnae. Then with respect to stem character of the members, the stem is very strong in nature. Stem is very strong, rigid, very strong, rigid, highly branched in nature, and it may be slightly weak as it is found in case of Artabotrys. It is a climber, it is a root climber. So stem is very strong, well branched kind of stem is found in the members of family Annonaceae. Okay. Now the inflorescence, the next part of study, the family inflorescence. I have not described the inflorescence in detail in my previous classes or previous videos, and we are going to study the inflorescence in the remaining part of the morphology. So that the inflorescence in case of the members of this Annonaceae, the flowers may be solitary or they may be produced in small clusters, about 3 to 4 or 5 flowers in one cluster. So it may be solitary, axillary in position, or it may be terminal in position. Sometimes it is always described as the flowers are directly born on the stem, then it is called as cauliflorous. Okay, cauliflorous. No, sorry. Cauliflorous. Cauliflorous meaning is, if the flowers are directly born on the stem, it is to be described as cauliflorous in nature. For example, cocoa plant. You might have seen the cocoa fruits are directly produced on the stem. So in that case, it is to be called as the cauliflorous nature of the flower. So the inflorescence is either the flowers may be produced singly, then it is to be described as solitary, or it may be produced in small clusters of 2 to 3 flowers, may be axillary or terminal in position, and in some cases, in some plants of the family, the flowers are polyfluorescent in nature. They are directly born on the stem. That is about the inflorescence of the family. Okay. So far you have studied the habit, the root, stem, leaves, and the inflorescence. So after this, now we are going to describe the flower and its parts. To describe the flower, the flowers of family Annonaceae are pedicellate, actinomorphic, rarely they are zygomorphic, bisexual, rarely unisexual, bracteate or ebracteate, bracteolate or ebracteolate, hypogynous in nature, and in some plants it is trimerous except the number of carpels and locules. So these are the characters of a flower. Okay, it looks like stenography, isn't it? Because if you know the terms, you will make out what is a pedicellate flower. I did not explain the meaning of all the terminologies again. You have taken down all the terminologies and their meaning. You have the meaning. Just check the meanings of all those words. The flowers are pedicellate, actinomorphic, rarely zygomorphic, bisexual, very rarely they are unisexual, bracteate or ebracteate, maybe in some plants it may be bracteolate or ebracteolate, hypogynous and trimerous in nature, except the number of carpels and locules, because the number of carpels and locules are many in this family. There are indefinite number of stamens and carpels are found, and those stamens and carpels are spirally arranged on the elongated axis. So that trimerous, it is with reference to only the number of sepals and petals here in the members of family Annonaceae. Okay. So to check the characters of the flowers now, I will draw an LS of the flower and explain you what are the different parts of the flowers in family members of Annonaceae. So in this Annonaceae family, this is a flower of Annona. These are the free carpels which are arranged on the upper part of the axis. Okay. Here, this is the axis or the thalamus of the flower. Okay. If you take LS of the flower, to study all parts of the flower, it is better to take LS of the flower. You hold the flower upside down and cut from the stalk. Perfectly cut the flower into 2 halves, draw the diagram. So you will make out all the different parts of the flower. So this is the thalamus, which is slightly elongated, that is why the family belongs to Thalamiflorae. And these are all the stamens which are freely spirally arranged on the axis and the basal part of the thalamus, and these are the carpels which are freely spirally arranged on the upper part of the thalamus. Then with respect to the petals, so this is LS, so that is a petal, and external to this, the calyx. Okay, this is LS of a flower. So in this, you can label all the parts. This is a sepal. This is a petal. All parts are there. Flower is made up of calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. There is a distinct thalamus. Now we can describe the flower as a flower, the part of the plant, branches for the plant. Now the flower. To describe the flower, I have described the flower. It is pedicellate, bracteate or ebracteate, maybe bracteolate or ebracteolate, actinomorphic, usually it is actinomorphic, very rarely zygomorphic, usually bisexual, rarely unisexual, and mostly the flowers are described as trimerous except the number of carpels and locules. The carpels and stamens. Now, we have to begin with Next, it is to be followed by the corolla. Calyx in many flowers in the members of family Annonaceae. Calyx is generally made up of 3 or 6 sepals arranged in 2 whorls of 3 each. If there are 6, the arrangement is in 2 whorls of 3 each. If they are only in 3, then all the 3 sepals are free. So sepals are 3 in number. They are polysepalous in nature and they are arranged with valvular distribution. Okay, they are with valvular. You know what is valvular distribution. You check the previous class notes and check what is the valvular distribution. If they are just in touch with each other without overlapping, then the distribution is to be called as valvate. 3 sepals, they are with valvular distribution, polysepalous in nature, and corolla made up of, here number of sepals are 3. Here also the number of petals are 3. Corolla made up of 3 petals, and they are also polypetalous in nature because it belongs to Polypetalae, subclass Polypetalae. The petals are free from each other. Again, the distribution is valvate. There is no overlapping at all. This is the general feature of the members of Annonaceae. In some members, instead of having calyx and corolla, the flower is also characterized by the presence of perianth. You know, when the flower is homochlamydious, when there is no differentiation to calyx and corolla, then the whorl is to be called as perianth. That's the general whorl. Perianth may be having 6 sepals. Tepal number 6. Arranged, if this is the number of tepals in a flower, in that case, the 6 tepals are arranged in 2 whorls of 3 each. And that is why we call it as trimerous, only with respect to the calyx and corolla. They are in 3s or multiples of 3s. There are 6 sepals arranged in 2 whorls of 3 each, slightly outended, polyphylous in nature because it is perianth. They are free from each other, polyphylous in nature with valvular distribution. And the common feature is, if the petals are present or if it is represented by tepals, the petals or tepals are very much fleshy in nature. Generally they are they are sepaloid in nature. Generally they are sepaloid because they are green in color. Sepaloid means instead of having colorful nature, they are green in color, so it is described as sepaloid in nature. So 6 sepals or 3 petals, they are fleshy, very thick and fleshy, sepaloid in nature, and connate below. Why it is called as connate below? Here I have shown a slightly swollen portion. If you take out one tepal, the tepal of Annona, it appears like this. Take out one tepal. Each tepal will appear like this. It is having a slightly swollen or the spoon with a deep depression like part is formed in the petal. So here this is having a depression over this part. And this is the entire one petal of the members of the family Annonaceae. The petals or the perianth or the tepals are connate below. This nature is called as connate below because each petal is having a spoon-like depression at the bottom, and that is why it is called as connate below. So the corolla is made up of 3 petals, polypetalous with valvular distribution, or perianth made up of 6 tepals arranged in 2 whorls of 3 each. They are fleshy, polyphylous in nature, connate below, and again with valvular distribution. These are the features of calyx, corolla, and the perianth. Okay. After completing the accessory whorls, let us proceed with the essential whorls of the flower. The next part to be described is Annonaceae. Among the members of this family Annonaceae, the Annonaceae is characterized by the presence of indefinite number of stamens. Okay, the stamens are many in number. There are indefinite number of stamens. We cannot count the number of stamens. There will be many in number. All the stamens which are present in the flower, they are free. They are free from each other, or it is called as polyandrous. Polyandrous. Poly means free. There is no attachment between the stamens of that flower, one flower. They are all free. If you just damage the flower, all the stamens will fall off. So there are many number of stamens, indefinite number of stamens. All the stamens are free. And with respect to the arrangement on the flower, they are all spirally arranged at the basal part of the axis. This is the flat. These are the anther lobes. Okay, the two anther lobes. They are slightly separated from a wide connective. The connective runs along the height of the anther. So this kind of anther is to be called as adnate. Adnate kind of connective which runs along the length of the height of the anther, and it further proceeds on the top as a sterile hood. Remains as a sterile hood on the top. That's a connective. This is the connective. So the stamens are many. There are indefinite number of stamens in the family and members, and the stamens are free, spirally arranged at the base of the axis or the thalamus. Each stamen is flat in nature, having two anther lobes, adnate kind of connective. The connective is prolonged on the top of the anther into a sterile hood, and it is having a very short flat filament at the base. And such type of anthers are spirally arranged at the basal part of the axis. Okay, that is about the endoecium character in the members of family Annonaceae. Now, the last part of studying the family is called as gynoecium. Again, the gynoecium is made up of the individual units called as carpels. The carpels are also many number of carpels. Okay, indefinite number of carpels. They are all free from each other. So the ovary is called as apocarpus. So it is multicarpellary. The gynoecium is described as multicarpellary. Apocarpus. Okay, multicarpellary apocarpus. Ovary superior because all the carpels are placed above the thalamus, on the thalamus, so that it is ovary is superior. Multicarpellary apocarpus. Ovary superior. Each carpel is having one locule, unilocular, having 1, 2 or 3 ovules arranged on axial placentation or basal placentation. Sorry, it's not axial, it's basal placentation, or it is parietal placentation, or the placentation may be marginal in nature. So the number of carpels, these are all carpels, they are spirally arranged at the upper part of the thalamus. The carpels are free from each other, so that the word used is apocarpus. And each carpel is made up of only one locule, having 1, 2 or 3 ovules arranged on basal, marginal, or another one is parietal kind of placentation. Okay. So the style is extremely short or it may be absent. The stigma is simple, and that is the description for the gynoecium. Now the fruits of the family. The fruits of the family are described as aggregate of berries. It's called as, the fruits are described as aggregate of berries. Okay, or also, and there is another terminology to describe the same fruit. It's called as eterio, E-T-A-E-R-I-O, eterio of berries. Aggregate of berries or eterio of berries. Eterio or aggregation, aggregate means it is collection. Collection of berries or eterio of berries. And the seeds of the family members are very large seeds with very characteristic ruminated endosperm is found in the seeds of these family members. So that is the feature of the characteristic features of the fruits of the members which belong to family Annonaceae. Okay, so this is how to describe the angiospermic plant, and I think you have taken on all these features of the habit, root, stem, leaves, inflorescence, flower, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, and the fruit. Now, the distinguishing features of the family. The family is represented by very important features. Nobody is going to ask you to describe the entire family in character like this. What so far we have studied in that pattern. You are not going to describe the question, or you are not going to answer the questions in this manner. This is only to study the family. To make you to understand the characters of a family, I have to describe the family like this. But when you are writing answer for a particular question, you are not going to explain the family character like this. You are going to put numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and you are going to highlight the features of the family or distinguishing features of the family, salient features of the family. So let us continue with the distinguishing features of the family? So can you list out the distinguishing features of the family now? Very distinctive means once by that character itself you must be able to identify this is a family called as Annonaceae. Those properties or those characters are called as distinguishing features of the family. Characters. Distinguishing characters of the family. This is very important because you are going to highlight the important characters of the family, that's it. You are not going to describe the habit of the plants, leaf is like this, inflorescence is like this, flower is like this. No, that's not the mode of writing answers for the questions. When you are answering a particular question, it must be described in point wise. Okay, you have to put a bullet and write the characters. The first and important character of the family, distinguishing feature of family Annonaceae is the presence of oil ducts in the plant parts. Because of that, the plant parts are slightly aromatic in nature. That is the important feature of the family. So the first one, the plant parts are aromatic due to the presence of oil glands, oil ducts. The plant parts are aromatic in nature. Secondly, the leaves of the plants are simple, petiolate, exstipulate, alternate, entire margin and unicosted reticulate venation. That is the leaf character. You can choose one important character and describe it in case of leaf. Okay. Then, the polyflorous nature of the inflorescence can be mentioned as a distinguishing feature. The next feature is the flowers of this family are actinomorphic, bisexual, hypogynous, bracteate and trimerous in nature except stamens and carpels. Okay, that is the distinguishing feature of the flower. Then presence of indefinite number of stamens and carpels, their spiral arrangement on different parts of the thalamus, the presence of distinct thalamus in the flower, apocarpous nature of the carpels, carpels many, they are free from each other, and the ruminated endosperm present in the seeds, and apart from that, aggregate of berry type of fruits or iteria of berries. So if you list out the important features like this, you'll be able to write about 6 to 7 important characters of the family. That is enough. You write out the features like the habit, leaf, flower, calyx, corolla, etc. But you have to highlight the distinguishing feature. You can select very important features of the family, 5 to 6 characters, write it aside, keep it aside, and study the distinguishing feature for the family. Okay. So after this, some examples for this family. I'll give the names of the plants which belong to this family. Few examples which belong to family Annonaceae. Examples of the members, family. Okay, now the first plant which belongs to Annonaceae, it is Annona squamosa. Annona squamosa. Annona reticulata. Annona muricata. These are the 3 plants with the genus name Annona, common. That is why the family is called as Annonaceae, the most common genera of the family. Annona squamosa, Annona reticulata, Annona muricata. The next example is Cananda odorata, Polyalthea, longifolia, Artabotrix, Odoratissimus, Artabotrix odoratissimus, Nuvalia, Nara. These are few examples of the family Annonaceae. Annona squamosa is sitafal. This is called as sitafal. Okay, in bracket you write the common name of the family. Annona squamosa is sitafal. Annona reticulata is ramfal. Annona muricata is lakshmanfal. Okay, so all these, they are the fruit-eating plants and they are cultivated for the delicious fruits. Annona muricata is one of the very important plant and the fruits, the leaves are generally used by the cancer patients because it is its decoctions, the decoction of the leaves are that is conserved. It is used by the cancer patients because it has got. It is said that many articles I have read. It is said that it is having more than chemotherapeutic effect, so that it is one of the very important plant. But these two are cultivated for its delicious fruits, sitafal, palmfal, and this is Lakshmanfal. Cananga odorata. This is another cultivated plant, and the flowers are very much fragrant in this. The floral parts are used for extraction of essential oil, and it goes to the perfume industry. This is Cananga odorata. Polyalthia longifolia is Ashoka, the common Ashoka plant. It is Asoka actually, and it is cultivated in the gardens, roadside, avenue tree, and that is called as Polyalthia longifolia. Artapotris odoratissimus is again, it is a champaka-like flower, green champaka-like, very fragrant. The flower yields the essential oil. It is also, it goes to the perfume industry. Artapotris odoratissimus is the name of the plant. Uvaria narum is a wild plant. Uvaria narum is a wild plant. It is a small shrub. It is a shrub, and it occurs in our college, beyond our college campus area. Here it occurs, and it is a common wild plant of the family. Okay, these are some examples of family Annonaceae, and this is how to explain the family characters in theory class. Okay, just go through all the characters, write down the words, try to understand the word. If you have any difficulty, you can ask me in my class. Okay, thank you.